They want to eliminate that fire elemental at every point that they can. Swapsy's not going to be able to hide it from Babo.
Yep. The fire elemental does go down, and now coming back out here. Master Spell tried to come out a little bit early, but it actually landed too early to spell the Fist of Justice onto Miley. It doesn't look like it's going to be too much trouble just yet. Babo's actually under a little bit of pressure here, spell stealing as much as he can, and the Iron Bark comes out onto Valet as they swap over onto him in a hurry. Babo getting locked out on his Arcane, trying to get that Polymorph out, but the Polymorph does finally land onto Botar, and the clone onto Swapsy as well. Joe Fernandez in this bash, he's under a lot of pressure right there. Botar does manage to come out of CC just long enough to get a big heal out onto him, but he's back into that Cyclone right away. Are they going to have any follow-up CC to be able to continue this pressure going? Does not look like that's going to be the case. They're actually going to switch over onto Swapsy. He's dipping down super low, down to 20% health. He's just holding onto his Shaman Rage for so long, now finally using it at 30% and trying to get over here out of line of sight, but Botar is stuck into that deep freeze, now actually having to use his Avenging Wrath. So Duelist Clan actually having a lot of pressure coming out here very, very early on. Swapsy gets put into a Cyclone there temporarily as well.
Yeah, Botar caught into a full polymorph right now. His entire team really low health. He's very scared. Double Fear Lance. Joey's alone. He's going to use the die by the sword. He's trying to put the pressure onto Miley. He's going to retreat after realizing that might be a little bit of a bad idea as he's taking a lot of damage. Botar leaving CC, popping the Aura Mastery to not have to deal with these interrupts. Now playing the defensive maneuver, killing this water elemental off, going back onto Valet, spreading their pressure around. A DR Hodge, unfortunately, onto Miley. Valet looking like he wants to retreat for now. We're going to be waiting for that deep freeze play out from Babo. He does have full icicles available. Double Fear lands though. Valet's getting pressured here at 50% HP. Miley has to sit through that now. Unfortunately, the Stormbolt was 1/3 DR'd from that Hodge, so their CC chain is going to get shut down. Now the Iron Bar coming out from Miley is going to sustain Valet. Babo looks like he wants to get ready to make a play here, but he's kind of getting destroyed. He does end up deep freezing Joey. A Horrify onto Botar. A bit of a miscommunication. Botar's going to be on Poly DR. They're trying to swap to him, and now into the bash, putting out the pressure. He does have that bubble available. Saved by the Light's going to proc. He uses a shield wall. He doesn't want to have to overlap the cooldowns, and he should be able to line of sight without doing so, but he gets locked behind the pillar, now jumping off of the balcony, running away, and he gets cloned up, low HP.
Yeah, Duelist Clan playing amazingly right now. Barely any defensive cooldowns have actually come out from them just yet, so they should be feeling very, very strong right now, just from the sheer amount that they've managed to pull out from Toxic Youth. Botar does now once again have his Trinket available, and he will still have his Bubble available as well, but he might have to use it right here. Yeah, bubbling at 19% health. That was just a ton of damage coming out onto Botar in a hurry, and he just did not seem like he was ready for it. Now they're trying to swap over onto Joe Fernandez, and he will not have that Bubble available to break any CC. If necessary, he does only have his Trinket still available. Botar now sitting through a silence. Joe Fernandez at 50% health. Duelist Clan might be able to actually make something happen here, but the Stormbolt does come out onto Valet, and now Toxic Youth is trying to turn this back around.
Yeah, Babo at 50%. Joey activating the die by the sword as Botar. His healer is in CC. Now into a full fear. A deep freeze onto Swapsy to cover it. He did tremor it, but he got put into a half clone. Miley into a full Hodge. Unfortunately, overlapped with the fear. A bit of a miscommunication. They're trying to put the pressure onto Miley. He did pre-bear form, but Ascendant's getting popped. A lot of damage coming Miley's way here. He's going to have to Iron Bark himself as well as use his Nature Swiftness. And now he doesn't have it available for Babo, who's getting swapped to here at 30% HP. Into execute range, blocking at 24%, and a decent turnaround here from Toxic Youth.
Yeah, they also got Miley to use his Tranquility behind the pillar there, so they've actually managed to pull pretty much every single possible cooldown out of Miley. He does only have 30 seconds until they'll be available again because the Druid cooldowns are relatively short, but if they can make something happen in the very near future, it might not matter. Now a bash onto Botar. He does have his Trinket available. He's just choosing to sit through that, and he's just going to come over here and actually just sort of running around in circles, almost like he's trying to fake them out, just trying to get some sort of healing out onto himself. He should be feeling fairly confident. The Saved by the Light does proc at that point, which is going to make him feel pretty okay for the time being. But Swapsy has managed to ooh himself between purging and casting out heals, just doing his best to keep those hots off as much as he possibly can, so that Babo can be continued to pressure, can be continued to be pressured. I think that's a sentence, as much as possible.
Yeah, Babo dipping low here. Miley trying to fake cast a Wind Tree. Doesn't manage to get it. Babo into a Hex. Does get dispelled now as Miley has switched over to a Resto Druid and is capable of that. But now he's into the Stormbolt. Hodge onto Valet. Valet's going to trinket that. Put a Horrify onto Swapsy. The Mass Reflect came out there and it reflected the full Poly. But now a Defensive Fear out from Joey. Swapsy getting pressured though with a Fear onto Botar into a full Poly. If he trinket, he has to probably trinket this. Saved by the Light's going to proc. Windwalk Totem comes down. Swapsy on the defense here behind the statue, healing himself back up with the remaining seconds of that Shaman Rage. Another Polymorph onto Botar here, but a Stormbolt onto Miley. Joey trying to put on the counter pressure. A Cyclone coming out. He's going to Blade Storm to immune the crowd control effects onto himself, putting out some pressure. He has to use his regen, though. He gets cloned at 65% with that regen. It's not going to heal him up. A Double Fear lands. They're looking for the setup onto Joey, I would imagine. The Deep Freeze comes in. Comet Storm connects. Mind Spikes flying in at 60%. Botar popping the Avenging Wrath here in desperation to top off Joey, but he gets put into the full Frostjaw. Miley getting pressured. Silence DR onto Botar. Horrify onto Joey, but with no more CC, Botar can top him off and just completely shut down this setup onto Joey.
Yeah, they did not get nearly what they wanted out of that. Really, all they got was an Avenging Wrath out of Botar, and now they have to get through both his bubble and his trinket if they want to be able to land another long CC chain and get a kill onto Joey. Joey does manage to actually use it, or does decide to use his Die by the Sword there to limit the damage going out, and Botar into that full polymorph. He does actually choose to trinket that full polymorph. That may not have been necessary, but we'll have to see if it works out. That is finally the trinket coming out for Botar, so he will only have his bubble available and a Blessing of Protection should he choose to use that to remove like a bash or something. But there is not much in the way of cooldowns now remaining for Toxic Youth. Joe Fernandez dipping lower and lower, but actually getting topped off by Botar, who just finally gets a chance to actually stand back and cast a few spells and be able to retaliate against this constant pressure that's been coming out of Duelist Clan. They're actually doing their best now, trying to spread their pressure as much as possible onto Babo and Valet, putting Miley into that Cyclone, into the Fist of Justice right after that. They want to make something happen onto Babo here, but both Swapsy and Joe Fernandez are put into CC, not able to actually keep that pressure going as much as they'd really like to. And I gotta say, Duelist Clan is doing an amazing job at shutting down the pressure that Toxic Youth puts out.
Yeah, that was another swap attempt onto Botar. He's going to escape with only using his shield wall, and he's running the short cooldown, so it's available for every swap onto him. And he has his bubble in case of an emergency. Valet realizes that they can't just chase after Botar. He's going to have to come back here with Miley, who's getting a drink right now and getting all of his mana back. The Fire Nova finally pulling him into combat. He only got back to 50% mana. Not as much as he was hoping for. Stormbolt onto Miley. Valet dipping low here. Almost into execute range. Disperse at 17%. Overlap with the Ironbark out from Miley. Miley popping the Barkskin for an Aura Mastery here, but the Mass Reflect is going to deny the Cyclone. Now Barkskin is slowly going to be out of the way. Joey Fernandez realizes that there's a kill potentially here. Now finally going to swap off. Miley going into Cat form, putting the Bash potentially now onto Joey Fernandez. He's going to use that Enrage Regeneration to heal through the Shadow Fiend out here on him, doing a ton of damage. Botar into the clone though from Miley. The Stormbolt just a few seconds too late. He's going to have to use the Die by the Sword to reduce the damage. As a result, now the Frostjaw is going to get Aura Mastered by Botar so he can top off Joey as he is running low on cooldowns. Babo dipping low though. Valet as well, going for the Master Spell on the Hodge. He does get it. Desperation, Amplify Magic out from Babo to increase the healing from Miley. Polly's on his Swapsy. Babo's just trying to live right now.
Yeah, the cooldowns are going to start coming up here for Miley, so Duelist Clan should start to be able to relax just a little bit. But that Nature Swiftness gets used right away to heal Valet back up again. The Ironbark is now once again available if they should choose to use that. And Baba, of course, has both of his Ice Blocks still, but they're now trying to set something up onto Joe Fernandez. And Botar once again has both his Trinket and his Bubble. A huge leap from Joe Fernandez. I didn't even know you could do that. Jumping up onto the platform over there, getting himself out of line of sight, and just major defensive play there coming out from Toxic Youth. That's just their play style. That's what they want to do. They want to play super defensive for this entire game as we are now into 26% dampening, and Miley is going to have a harder and harder time actually being able to keep everybody alive. He does try to get a Cyclone out there. I don't believe it actually landed on anybody. He's just doing his best trying to keep some sort of CC going here. The Stormbolt's going to come out to interrupt that Cyclone now. The Cyclone will be reflected onto Miley, and that could put Valet or Babo into some trouble here. But no, unfortunately for Toxic Youth, they were not able to make too much happen. As a result of that, Joe dips so low, has to use both the rally and the enrage regen and the die by the sword as well. Every single cooldown comes out. Botar uses both his trinket and, or excuse me, he actually had already used his trinket recently, but he used his bubble as well. So now this is an opportunity for Duelist Clan. As these cooldowns are now falling off, they need to make something happen right now. They need to get a CC. There's a full fear onto Botar. There's a polymorph onto Swapsy. They could kill Joe Fernandez right here, down to 10% health, 9%. He leaps away. He's still alive, somehow still alive. Swapsy in the clone as well. Botar getting rooted, but they have not been able to kill Joe Fernandez just yet, but the pressure is ongoing. Just constant pressure onto Joe Fernandez right now. 15% health, 14%, 4%, and down he goes! Duelist Clan able to take out Joe Fernandez with the constant CC onto both Swapsy and Botar.
Yeah, Joey Fernandez, rip in peace. Going to be taken down here, tied up 2-2 by Duelist Clan. And we're going to move to Game 5.
Ooh, that was an intense last few minutes of that match. That was crazy.
I thought it was going to live, but then the damage just kept coming.
Yeah, I don't know how they were able to keep up that pressure that constantly. Like, all of their offensive cooldowns had worn off at that point, but they were still able to just put out so much damage. It was crazy.
And that's where you can see the dampening kind of pay favor to reducing Swapsy's healing, because there in those final moments, Swapsy was just off healing him over and over. He got like 3 healing surges off before he got crowd controlled, and just wasn't able to finish it off. They're trying to figure out what maps they can pick. I'm trying to figure out what maps they can pick. I believe Runes of Lordaeron on Blade's Edge are the only things left.
Yeah, I believe so as well. So yeah, this next match, which is going to be Toxic Youth's pick, but it's going to have to be on either Ruins of Lordaeron or Blade's Edge, because let's see, we've already played Nagrand. Obviously, we played the second map was
Valran.
Sewers, yeah, and then it was Tolvaran, and then it was Tiger's Peak. So yeah, those are the only 2 remaining. Is Blade's Edge and Ruins of Lordaeron, and either one of them, I don't really feel like there's a huge advantage for Toxic Youth in either of those. So this should actually be a really, really good final match here for all of the beans.
All of the nuts.
Because all of these nuts in this last match here. Whoever wins it goes on to the finals against 2.5 Men, who has been playing that RMD, and they've been playing it brilliantly. So maybe not the best grand prize ever or the best prize for winning this match ever is that now you have to fight 2.5 Men, but still, you want to get as far as you can in the tournament, and you want to have the opportunity to play for that grand finals. So whichever team wins here is going to move on. Whichever team doesn't, that's the end of their arena tournament life. Well, for now anyway.
For this weekend.
For this tournament.
Seems like they're happening. They are happening every weekend. So
yeah,
you get to come back, but it's nice to say that you're the champion.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright guys, it's going to be the final Game 5. Runes of Lordaeron on the side of Duelist Clan. Once again, Valet bringing it home on the Shadow Priest with tons of damage and amazing life grips thus far. Bobo the Mage on the Mage landing all those deep sheeps and keeping his team alive with that crowd control. Miley switching over to Restoration Druid and proving it to be his main, showing his skills, landing so many clones and cross CC at the same time with his team. That is the side of Duelist Clan. On the side of Toxic Youth, we have Joey Fernandez, the gnome, with a furious punch, trying to take down this team. Swapsy on the Enhancement Shaman, and Botar on the Holy Paladin, bringing it to you on Toxic Youth. Let's see who comes out on top. It might end up being a quick game here, as this is an open field map with not very many points of line of sight.
Yeah, and I feel like that almost actually works out in favor of Duelist Clan a little bit, because it doesn't really allow Toxic Youth the opportunity very much to be able to duck out of line of sight and heal themselves up, which is just how they love to play the early game. Valet under a little bit of pressure here right out the start. Nothing major actually used yet. Miley used his Shadow Meld, but that's about it. Nothing crazy has happened just yet, and now Toxic Youth just wants to sit over here behind the tomb and just hang out for a little while.
Yes, Swapsy's always trying to hide that fire alley, but Bobo and Invis just ran right into the room, killed it off, and both teams taking whatever small advantage they can get. Miley going for some Cyclones here. He did fake cast and land the full Cyclone onto Swapsy's Ascendance. He's going to trinket that. He wants to get the pressure rolling as Joey is dipping low here. He activates the Die by the Sword preemptively, trying to manage his cooldowns one by one. He's escaping this situation so far with only having to use that. Now popping the Recklessness, trying to make a turnaround onto Valet here. Charging now over to Bobo, just hitting everybody. Frozen Orb coming down, though. He's got to be careful. Devouring Play comes out. The Master Reflect comes out from Joey there preemptively, and he did reflect the Cyclone back onto Miley, so well timed there by him. Bobo taking some pressure here. The counterspell onto Botar. He did get locked out. Stormbolt onto Miley. Joey and Bobo getting pressured here. Now switching over to Valet, keeping that consistent damage up. Poly and Clone onto Swapsy. Horrify onto Joey. 3v1 onto Joey right here on the tomb. He does take the Water Elemental down, reducing the incoming damage by a little bit. Fear onto Bobo. He's going to trinket that. He wants to keep the damage rolling. Miley going for a Cyclone. I'm not sure if he did get locked out there. I believe he fake casted it. Now going for a Cyclone onto Joey at low HP. Botar has that Avenging Wrath, and the side of Duelist Clan are going to realize that. Wait for that to fade, wait for their CC diminishing returns, and then go for an attack.
Yeah, definitely. They are getting a little bit of stuff out onto Joey. There was a very brief route onto him. I forget the exact name of the Wild Grasp, I believe is what it's called. But he was able to get out of that right away. I believe it was a Dispel. They're just trying to, both teams actually just trying to sort of wait for the next setup here. Looks like they may be trying something onto Joe Fernandez here, but he's going to heroic leap out of that right away. No major trouble there. He does now put up the Reflect as well, which is going to get Miley into a Cyclone. But Joe Fernandez actually dips pretty low, down to 20% health. Botar into a Frost Jaw. Joe Fernandez could be in some trouble here. Silence comes out onto Botar as well. He is going to be able to heal him back up. And there were, unfortunately, for Duelist Clan, no major cooldowns pulled out as a result of that. And they're going to now try to start turning this back around a little bit. They were actually trying to get something onto Valet over there for just a second, and then tried to swap over onto Babo, but he immediately blinked away the second that the charge happened. Very nice by Babo. He actually got reflected on his polymorph there for a second. Had to spend a little bit of time as a kitty cat, but he is back into the action once again. And both teams are just going to be looking for their next opportunity at this point.
Yeah, the Water Elemental being resummoned, and Swapsy and Joey realize that, try and take the small advantage and take it out. Miley spamming heals on it, and it's going to run him out of mana if he commits too much to it. CC being used now on the DPS to desperately save the Water Elemental. This little pal is still alive, moving in now, trying to get the kill itself. Coming up here, Joey is dipping low. He's caught in the center of the open field at 30%. Botar into a Silence. He has to bubble to get out of the Silence and keep Joey alive here, getting through that bubble very early on. Fortunately for him, he is running a lower cooldown, and it's going to come up in 2 minutes, but once again, Duelist Clan getting a cooldown, pushing forward.
Yeah, Miley actually just used Nature's Swiftness to top off the Water Elemental. That may be overcommitting to the Water Elemental just a little bit here, but we'll have to see if it works out for him. Obviously, it is only a 1 minute cooldown, so maybe not the worst usage of it. We'll have to see. Botar now polymorphed here. They're going to try to make something happen onto Joe Fernandez yet again, but the Valet gets locked down with that Stormbolt right away. They're just trying constantly. They're just keeping up the pressure as much as they possibly can and looking for the opportunity to make some sort of big push. Botar has used both of his Trinket and his Divine Shield at this point. So if they can make something happen soon, if they can get that CC chain onto him, he will not be able to break out of it. The Water Elemental is getting so low, though. Almost actually went down there.
It's going to go down.
Miley actually healing it like crazy, managing to keep it alive. It is starting to have an effect on his mana. He's down to 50%, and we are not yet into dampening at all. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Bobo needs to do a better job microing his pet. He just keeps letting it roll in, and he could be hiding it in the open and force the melee to come into the field. Which would be better off for him. He doesn't need it doing damage all the time. So I think with a little bit better micro, he could keep this Water Elemental alive, force the Turbo into a position where they can't kill it. But unfortunately, he's just letting it on the tomb here. They might be able to capitalize on killing it here shortly. Swapsy swapping over to it, and they need to get every little advantage that they can. It should go down here shortly. I don't think Miley's going to commit any more resources. It does end up going down. The cooldown should have reset by now for Bobo, though, should he decide to go for it here. Botar finally coming out of some polymorphs, going to be able to keep his team topped with the remaining seconds of his Avenging Wrath. Spell Reflect onto the Cyclone here of Miley, getting shut down on that CC, now going for it once again, going to land onto Swapsy full. Botar getting locked on a Denounce, going to be pulling back. He doesn't want to get crowd controlled off of that lockout. Now into a Silence, he's going to Aura Mastery into a Deep Freeze. He's got no Trinket and no Bubble as he goes into a full Fear. He does get tremored out by Swapsy. They didn't cross CC him. He's going to get him out of that CC. Joey Fernandez is going to survive as a result. Miley into a full Hodge right now. Joey Fernandez putting on the pressure. Water Elemental is back out. The Ascendant's being blown here by Swapsy to take down the Water Elemental once again, and it's being microed pretty poorly in my opinion. It's just running over the tomb. It's lining Miley. It's going to end up going down here shortly as a result.
Yeah, he actually is. It seems like he's trying to move it around a little bit, but he is going to lose that Water Elemental again. And unfortunately now Duelist Clan has sort of missed their window of opportunity as the Trinket and Bubble are once again available for Botar here. So they're going to have a hard time being able to push out and get that those CC chains on him that they really need to be able to get a kill. Joe Fernandez does use his Die by the Sword there to like limit that damage a little bit, as Botar was sitting in a silence for just a second. But nothing too major is actually coming out in those points. Miley is actually getting a lot of pressure at the moment. He's going to sit through bear form. He's going to try and get himself over here to the side and start healing himself up a little bit. They've actually pulled away off of him now, though, and seem to be going after just their constant spread pressure that they love doing. Joe Fernandez hitting Babo, and Swapsy actually was hitting Valet for a little bit. Swapsy into a Fear, and it could be feared away a little bit, but no, actually that's going to get tremored, and he's going to be totally fine.
Yeah, Hodge and a Miley, Stormbolt onto Valet, forcing him to disperse. Overlapped with the Ironbark, a bit of a miscommunication there. Now Ironbark isn't available for Babo, which may result in his block here, and it will be the final one for 30 seconds. He does have to block here. Joey forcing out the pressure, and that miscommunication costing another cooldown. Valet dipping low now. Denounce is flying in from Botar. The Turbo Cleave pushing in to try and execute a kill here with a Stormbolt onto Miley. Valet taking pressure at 40%. He throws the Horrify to Joey, but Botar dispels it prior to getting deep frozen. Now the Mass Reflect can come out as a result to deny this Polymorph. They do manage to interrupt the Polymorph, so a nice shutdown there by Botar and Joey, coordinating those Dispel and Mass Reflect to keep them offensive. Now they're pushing into Babo. He doesn't have a block for 7 more seconds. He should be able to live that long. He's throwing out the Comet Storm to force Joey on the defense. He does get bashed here. He's going to use that regeneration heal to top himself back off as Swapsy and Botar are CC'd. Swapsy still cloned right now. Valet and Babo looking like they want to make a push here shortly. Babo with full icicles. Miley, in the meantime, going into the room, maybe trying to go for a drink, but Botar was moving in to stop it. He does land a full Hodge. The Mass Dispel gets kicked. Botar into a deep. Joey and Valet both could be in trouble here. Ironbark comes onto Valet. A leap fear, but he did pre-fear ward the fear on the leap, so Miley's not going to get feared. He does get locked out. Botar pops the Avenging Wrath to top off Joey with the Die by the Sword. We're evening out here, but Valet without a disperse for 50 seconds could be in trouble.
Yeah, we are once again getting very deep into dampening, though, 21%, and Toxic Youth is starting to get that momentum that they really need to eventually win this game. They've been able to hold on for this long, no problem, and they're now getting into the point where they should start feeling very comfortable that they can win this game, and Duelist Clan needs to make something happen very, very, very soon if they want to be able to pull out this win and move on to the Grand Finals. Valet dipping kind of low there for just a second, down to about 30% health. His dispersion is not yet off. It will be coming off in just a couple of seconds. And Babo actually in some trouble as well. He's actually had to use his final ice block. He will not have another one for 2 minutes. So it's a lot of defensive cooldowns. In fact, no defensive cooldowns, as I say that, are available. Ironbark has now just come up, and Nature's Swiftness as well. So they will have some potential for some defensive cooldowns if another push comes out from Toxic Youth. But they really need to be getting that cross CC going. They really need to be getting that pressure going back out onto Joe Fernandez, onto Swapsy, onto Botar. Make sure that they have to play defensively. The Ironbark comes out onto Valet. They are running out of options here right now. Full Polymorph onto Botar. They might be trying to make something happen onto Joe Fernandez. The Silence comes off of that as well. Botar does not have his Trinket available, but he does still have his Bubble. So if they can make something happen here, they may actually be able to force that Bubble out from him. The Cyclone on Joe Fernandez at low health, 40% health on Joe Fernandez. They may be able to follow something up. There's Botar now sitting in the bash. Joe Fernandez at 12% health there momentarily. Botar actually having a Bubble. They're just constantly putting this pressure out onto Joe Fernandez, but they need to be able to finish him off here very, very soon if they want to be able to win this game.
Yeah, Botar knew another polymorph. It could be the end of the game. Die by the sword gets used by Joey here to reduce the damage. Now trying to make a turnaround onto Valet, but he has that dispersion. He's just got to be careful. He uses it, and he gets it off at 24% to answer the recklessness out from Joey. Swapsy getting cloned. Babo building up those icicles, casting these frost bolts, building up his arsenal for the next assault. Joey realizes that he heroic leaps back to try and deny some CC, and he will by stormbolting Babo. He does get dispelled out of the Horrify. Unfortunately, that means he's going to get Vampiric Touch Horrified over here into a full polymorph. He's going to have to sit that. Joey has his regen. He's going to pop it on the bash. Is it enough, though? He got a shield barrier up as well. Saved by the Light's going to proc, but a full clone onto Botar. He's alone. Joey gets, or Swapsy gets locked out, and Joey's going to get taken down. The cross CC from Duelist Clan, securing them the kill here and securing them game 5 here in the losers bracket semifinals. They're going to progress and have to beat 2.5 men in a best of 7, and after that a best of 3.
Botar had 2 seconds remaining on his trinket when Joe Fernandez died. 2 seconds. That was a very small window for Duelist Clan to be able to pull out that win. And they did it. They made it happen at the last possible second that they really could have. They managed to make it happen and get that win. Very well played games from Duelist Clan. They have been looking very, very good and getting better and better with each match. And Toxic Youth, of course, had an amazing run in this tournament as well. This is the first series that they've lost. They went all the way to the losers bracket semifinals and faced off against 2.5 men in the winners bracket semifinals to figure out who's going to the finals. So now Duelist Clan has to go up against 2.5 men in that finals. It's going to be an RMD versus this God Comp we've been seeing. I am excited for that match.
Yeah, I really am too. It's a matchup that either composition can take an advantage. Having that Hodge available if Miley plays the Holy Paladin is going to mean that Waz, the Rogue, is going to have to be careful. He's going to constantly have to make sure he has Feint up, not get caught in a bad position, or it's surely going to be his Trinket and his Cloak, and then next time, his life. So, then Poike says that 2.5 men are ready. Let's make sure that Miley's ready. He's been playing all day. He must be pretty warm, and Poike's team's going to be coming off cold. I'd imagine maybe practicing on the ladder a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, Duelist Clan has had a lot of games they've had to get through to get to this point. And just today, they actually went up against Rocket Gaming and then up against D's Nuts earlier. They barely won against D's Nuts. That was a 2-1. And then this last series against Toxic Youth was a 3-2 in that best of 5. So they have played a lot of games today. Going up against 2.5 men who haven't had to play anything. They've just been sitting back, watching the tournament, doing some practicing themselves, ready to go as soon as it actually gets around to be their turn. So it's going to be a possibly sort of worn-out Duelist Clan facing up against a fresh and ready to go 2.5 men. That is a tall order. That is a difficult team to actually win against, regardless. And it's going to be very difficult to win against them having played all day. But maybe they're just warming up. Maybe this is good for them. Maybe it's just given them a lot of opportunity to practice and get some games going, build up some momentum.
Well, yeah, you've got to be feeling pretty good, man. You've already at least secured yourself second place.
Yeah.
Crawling back from the losers bracket to make it here, defeating Toxic Youth. And Toxic Youth did defeat the other God Comp in the tournament, so a bit of a turnaround there. And Miley being able to play multiple classes, ending up being the reason, switching to the Restoration Druid and getting a lot of cross CC to secure the kill at the end there. And it was, if Swapsy had been able to get that heal off, it would have been that 2 seconds for Botar to have his Trinket and then get something big. So that counterspell on that healing surge that I believe was quick casted, he had like something like 4 Maelstrom procs. It wasn't instant, but it was fast enough that he still locked it. So it was really clutch by Babo at the end to interrupt that and knock Joey Fernandez to the ground.
Yep. It is also worth pointing out that the match that knocked Duelist Clan to the lower bracket was actually against 2.5 men. So these teams have faced each other before. Maybe Duelist Clan, having several other games under their belt, they have the opportunity to get a little bit of revenge here and go up against the team that knocked them down and say, you know what, actually, we're going to go ahead and win this whole thing. So we'll have to see if that's the opportunity that they're able to get here.
Yeah, and one of the teams needs a minute. So before we jump into the grand finals, for any of you that wanted to support the stream, Going to be running a quick advertisement, Areno. So hopefully those of you that want to help out, you can feel free to turn off ad block and help support the stream. But we're going to be running a quick ad. Thank you guys for tuning in, and this will be the grand finals of the Pro Game X tournament. Okay, guys, we're back. Both the teams have told me they are ready to rumble. Going to be the grand finals here of the Pro Game X tournament. Winner take most of it. It does get split up a bit, so it's only most of it. Going to be queuing the Duelist Clan against 2.5 Men. Popping them into the arena here very shortly when they do accept the queue and lay down the gauntlet for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, here we go. It's here, the time is now. As the old Trinket used to say. Actually, that's from Warcraft 2 or 3, actually. Who says the time is now? It's a night elf.
I don't remember.
I can't remember exactly, but we are in here nonetheless. On the side of 2.5 Men, we do have Waz bringing it here on Combat Rogue, Raikou bringing it on Frost Mage, Minpoike bringing it on Restoration Druid. They don't really need any explanation of who they are, proving themselves time and time again. And now on the side of Duelist Clan, we have Valet on Shadow Priest, Babo Mage on Frost Mage, and Miley bringing it back onto Holy Paladin, trying it out. Not too comfortable with the Restoration Druid, and they have a lot of games to experiment with.
Yeah, for sure, and we'll have to see if they do decide to make that swap at some point. I'm guessing we're going to see Waz coming out here right away with that the sort of group stealth, in that everyone on his group can stealth, but he will be using the Shroud of Concealment shortly thereafter, just trying to make Babo Mage use his invisibility first. It doesn't actually look like they... Oh no, they did actually manage to get him to use it first, sorry. So there's the Shroud of Concealment coming out, and Waz is going to be moving in with his team here very shortly. Probably going to try to get a sap onto Mileyfan and open up onto Valet would be my guess, but we'll have to see what they do decide to do here.
That Mind Seer trick on the Invis is what they're dodging by staying in stealth so long, but triple CC opener onto Valet. Babo's going to ice block out to get some offensive rolling onto Waz here. Ring lands on him in Poike. Now Waz getting turned around on. He's going to Cloak of Shadows there. He did Trinket as well, so that's a big amount of cooldowns being blown there on the side of 2.5 men. Waz is going to have to be careful. He's got to vanish right now, trying to find his target, which is going to be Valet, who did use his Trinket as well. He's trying to go for a preemptive Mass Dispel. He does get kicked by Waz from stealth, trying to put the pressure onto Valet, maybe going for a re-stealth over here behind the pillar. He does get pre-Iron Barked here as Minpoike is sitting in bear form, trying to avoid the Polymorphs. Raikou taking a lot of damage now, could just go down without blocking and survives at 18%.
Yeah, that was a lot of very sudden burst onto Raikou there. Fortunately, he was able to use his Ice Block in time. He was not locked out on a GCD or anything like that. Was able to get that off. As Minpoike was unable to heal him at the time, and now we see a lot of CC going out onto Duelist Clan. Valet sitting through that bop at the moment. That's going to fall off now, and they're going to open back up onto Valet once again, trying to get that dispersion out of him. The Killing Spree comes out. Valet taking tons of damage at the moment. He tries to use his Spectral Guys to get away. The Save by the Light does proc, but fortunately for them, they were able to survive through that without any major cooldowns used. Mileyfan did use his Avenging Wrath, I suppose, but really that's just allowing him to keep his team topped off as Valet gets put into another full kidney shot here, and Waz and Raikou are continuing to try to put the pressure out onto him.
Miley did sacrifice that full polymorph onto himself, so it's going to break as Valet is taking damage. Minpoike Displacer Beast in, lands a bash onto Babo's Blink, and now clones him out of that, punishing him for that Blink. Miley gets locked out, now into a Deep Freeze. 3v1 onto Valet as he gets Garrote silenced by Waz. Blind comes out. Miley's going to have to bubble to get out of that blind, and now 2.5 men with the lead here. Need to be a little bit careful. Raikou's getting pressured. Minpoike is silenced right now, and he threw his Iron Bark onto Waz. It's not available for Raikou. He's playing very defensive in the back here. Valet does get kidney shot and stunned. Waz popping the Adrenaline Rush to try and get the damage rolling here, but Miley is just pumping heals. He's not getting CC'd, and he's not getting interrupted in the back line. Now into a Deep Freeze. Raikou going for a Polymorph. Valet not looking like he's going for a Mass Dispel. The Shadow Reflection comes out. He does land a Double Fear onto both. Now Polymorph swapping over to Minpoike, and he's going to Barskin as he goes into the full Hodge. It might not be enough if they have a little bit more CC out of this. The defensive Smoke Bomb, though, coming out from Waz, keeping Minpoike alive a little bit longer, giving him time to get that Heart of the Wild up, get the full Hots rolling, and now going for the Killing Spree onto Valet, which does get Hand of Protection by Miley, denying all of the damage onto Valet.
Yeah, that was a really nice move from Waz. He actually shadow stepped over to drop the smoke bomb. Just very good situational awareness from him, knowing that he needed to do that to help save Minpoike at the time. So both teams now are able to sort of top themselves back off and start looking for their next opportunity to move in. They were able to survive through the killing spree, and actually Valet is going to trinket that kidney shot that lands onto him there. He just does not want to be stuck out there in the open. He wants to get over here out of line of sight, and actually using the Ring of Frost, going over and standing into it so that Waz can't chase him over there. Waz actually using his Cloak of Shadows, though, to try and limit any of that potential CC going out onto him. He's going to get a re-stealth and open back up onto Valet here. Puts both the Garrote and Garrote onto both Valet and Babo Mage, and then now a kidney shot onto Valet as Babo Mage gets put into that Cyclone. They're going to try and make some damage come out onto Valet here. No major offensive cooldowns coming out. He just tried to get a massive spell out, but he's going to have to go into the Dispersion as he gets dropped down to 10% health there, and Mileyfan's going to use his Avenging Wrath as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of mind games that Minpoike has to deal with as the God Comp here can set up onto anyone. Now setting up onto Raikou. Minpoike desperately trying to roll the Hots over to him. He's taking so much damage at 20%. The Swiftmend and the Iron Bark. Is it going to be enough? Adrenaline Rush coming out from Waz, though, making a turnaround onto Valet here. Miley into the full blind. Trinkets that immediately as Valet has no dispersion. He's putting the pressure onto Raikou, though. He gets the block off at 16%. Cold Snap available. Resets the cooldown. Comes out to try and finish the job on onto Valet, who is going to Spectral Guise here, being very sneaky in stealth as Miley is still polyed. He's going to get out of line of sight. Garrote Silence coming out, though. Waz did get feared prior. Poly on Mimpoike. Raiku's alone with hypothermia. Mimpoike trinkets in desperation to dispel him. Raikou now pushing in for the deep freeze, possibly landing the poly, but Babo is shutting him down, polying him himself. He's not going to be able to land the polymorph now. Valet gets out of line of sight with Waz. Raikou has to push in deep to try and land this CC. He does land the counter spell, interrupting Miley there. Valet now at 30%, desperately off healing himself. Saved by the light proxy, goes for the mass dispel. He gets it off. Execution Sense connects out from Miley onto Valet, topping him off and saving him for now.
Yeah, the Killing Spree came out in there and was not able to get a kill, so that's going to be another couple of minutes before we see another big burst come out from 2.5 Men, but maybe they can make something happen in the meantime as they're trying to get something going onto Miley Fan right now. There's the Deep Freeze, no CC to follow that up, though, so they're just going to go ahead and keep chasing down Valet and just trying to keep this pressure up. Meanwhile, Minpoika actually taking a little bit of damage here. He's going to have to go into bear form, pop the bark skin, try to get himself over out of line of sight, and get some heals back up. No, he's actually just going to turn around and go back to healing his team as they are swapping back around again. Just Duelist Clan just jumping back and forth between targets on a regular basis, and that's kind of what you have to do against a Druid healer, is just make sure that he has to keep his hots rolling on everybody so that way he doesn't have the opportunity to just sit back and heal. Smoke Bomb does come out here, and Valet dips super low. He's going to have to use his Dispersion. That's his second Dispersion. That barely came off a cooldown in time as Miley Fan was stuck into a CC.
Mimpoike gets hodged up with no barkskin, no trinket, going for the 100-0 and gets decimated by Duelist Clan here, and finally winning the mind game. Mimpoike has to keep up with constant swaps to him, and finally getting caught in a position with no cooldowns and just getting erased.
That is the first game that 2.5 Men has lost this tournament. Right there, they've been completely shutting everybody out until this point, and now here in the finals, they actually lose the first match that they go up into. So we could have a lot more games on our hands here.
A lot of games. Let's see what map the side of 2.5 Men decides to go with. I'm not sure if any map really gives them an incredible advantage. They're going to go with Tol'Vir, a much more defensive map, much more big. And they're going to be able to kite around a lot. And if Valet wants to push offensively, he's probably going to get caught in the open. So, but either way, Duelist Clan taking a 1-0 lead, finally catching Mimpoike in a vulnerable position, and Waz not able to step to him and smoke bomb him that time around, using it offensively. Maybe he's going to save it. I mean, that's a strategy option for 2.5 Men, is they're just going to save their smoke bomb for that time that he doesn't have barkskin. It acts the same way, reducing damage and providing no line of sight. So it could end up being that they're going to use their smoke bomb defensively. It felt like they had the pressure regardless.
Yeah, definitely, and I feel like there was a lot of like weird miscommunications and such that were happening with 2.5 Men there, or something. They just felt a little bit shaky that whole game, different from what we've seen them play before. So maybe that was a match of them having to shake the rust off and get back into the tournament style of play, the little different mind games that you play and stuff like that. We'll see if they can if they come back swinging in this match, or if Duelist Clan is going to be able to continue to put the beat down on them.
The beatdown.
The beatdown.
And the trick that you're looking for that 2.5 Men are using their own personal invisibility is that Babo will be on his mount. Valet's just going to load up the Parameni, but he's going to go for Mind Seer onto Babo, and then as soon as that happens, Babo goes in stealth. They give him a feather. He's running very quickly, and on the side of 2.5 Men, you can't see him, and you can't see the AoE from the Mind Seer, and that's why they all stay very, very far back here, and they all use their own personal stealth. And then once the Invis fades, like here shortly on Babo, they're going to use that mass stealth push in. They know where he is, and they know they can't get pulled out to secure that they get the sap.
Yep. So Waz now moving in here. The Shroud is just about to fade. There it goes, but they do get the sap off onto Miley Fan. They get the freeze onto Valet. Not actually opening just yet. Actually just deciding that Waz is just going to stay in stealth this whole time. Starting to get some damage out onto Raikou, and now the CC comes out. The Polymorph onto Miley Fan. There was a Cyclone onto Babo as well. They're trying to make something happen there, but that was a very strange choice to not actually go in off of the sap there.
Yeah, it seemed like they wanted to communicate a cyclone or something, but they didn't even use blind to chain the CC. And now Raiku's on the back foot taking so much damage. Ironbark has to come out from Minpoike. Finally, the blind being used here onto Valet, and he's going to be taking some damage as Miley gets CC. He did sacrifice the polymorph in between the blind. He's going to break that full polymorph and keep Valet here offensive. Does go into a half polymorph, though. Now a full kidney shutting down Valet. A half clone onto Miley, but now the CC's fading. He should be able to get a big heal here. Gets the Avenging Wrath and the Execution Sentence prior to that defreeze, and it feels like 2.5 men are just sluggish, playing a little bit behind.
Yeah, definitely. Duelist Clan is just looking very, very strong at the moment. Don't seem to be having too much trouble at all. Now doing some damage to Minpoike over there. He does have the Ironbark active, but he's going to have to get into that bear form in a hurry, shifting back and forth, making that that glyph proc to heal himself just a little bit more off of that. Now Babo Mage in the Cyclone. Miley Fan with his Avenging Wrath about to wear out. He's going to get Polymorph Valet into a full kidney shot. Do they have a follow-up for this? Miley Fan actually used his trinket there, and they do get the Cyclone onto him, and Valet is going to have to disperse. Got super low there, and they may actually be able to finish him off out of this. The dispersion's going to fall off. Miley Fan has to bubble. He does get the bop out onto Valet. Should be okay for now. Raikou is polymorph, so they cannot spell steal that bubble. Excuse me, that bop. And so Valet is going to survive, but that was a lot of cooldowns pulled out.
Yeah, Minpoike pre-Ironbark the Deep Freeze, expecting a swap, but they're going to polymorph him instead, turn it around onto Waz in that full Hodge. He's got to be careful. He's dipping low, gets the cloak off at 20%, saving his trinket for the time being. It looks like he wants to push in onto Valet. The Mass Dispel comes out a little bit too late before the gouge there, and he's going to be able to get him out of CC, keep Valet top tier. They need to keep him alive for one more minute. Waz without a cloak looks like to be the target of choice here. Minpoike has his trinket and his bark skin. He did pre-bear from the deep. He has to land the Ring of Frost, but Waz is going to gouge Babo and deny that CC. Now Minpoike leaving that, going out to put Babo into a bash. He actually had to trinket it. Double Fear lands onto the DPS here. Deep Freeze onto Miley, though. Horrify onto Raikou. Seems like they're maybe going to be setting up onto him with that, but a blind onto Miley with no way out. He's going to actually have to bop himself out, which means he has no more bops remaining for Valet. Adrenaline Rush is paying off in full value right now, doing so much damage, and now the killing spree coming up, but he got the Mass Dispel off again, and the sacrifice for the second polymorph. Avenging Wrath is up, Smoke Bomb comes down, but Miley's not CC'd. He just needs to get one big heal to save Valet. It's gonna connect. Minpoike now into the Ring of Frost, Devouring Plague onto Waz, into the full Hodge. He trinkets that, gets the Cloak of Shadows up prior to Minpoike getting silenced. He's got to be careful. He's overextending quite a bit here. Minpoike can't really heal him. At 27%, he's gonna get the Nature Swiftness off. Go for a Cyclone here. Is not going to be able to connect, though. Miley into a full poly. Valet now on the back foot. He's got Disperse in 7 seconds.
Yeah, this is very back and forth at the moment. The Disperse may not come in time, though. Valet dipping super low just barely. Literally the second, and he died through it. He died through the dispersion. He used it the second it became available, and he was just too little health remaining. Even with a 90% damage reduction, they were still able to finish him off through that. So much damage coming out from this RMD.
And that's going to tie it up 1-1. 2.5 men on the comeback. Make it a swing, which means the map choice is going to be on Duelist Clan's side.
Yep. However, since they did win on Nagrand, they only have to win on their map picks from here on. Eventually you get to the point where the map pick doesn't really matter anymore because there's only a couple of them that are available. But, yeah, we'll have to see what they end up picking. I feel like maybe Duelist Clan might want to go for something like, I don't know, even maybe like Sewers or something.
Read their minds. You're a mind reader.
Did I read their minds?
That's scary. Don't read my mind, please.
I don't want to. I'm afraid of
Wow. 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 I was thinking about Moonkin hatchlings jumping around and attacking with me in the game. That should be a thing. Oh, the Moonkin hatchling pet. I want it, like, when I Starfall, it Starfalls. When I Star Surge, it Star Surge.
But it's like a little tiny adorable Star Surge with like a smiley face on it.
Right at the end. Oh, just this smiley face ball running at you. Man. Alright, trying to queue them up here into the third game.
hopefully we can get this going here soon. I know that I called Sewers, but I'm still not entirely certain about this pick. The one potentially nice thing about it is that the rogue is sort of forced to run Shadow Step, but he's been running Shadow Step already. So yeah, I'm not actually really sure that it gives much of an advantage. I know it's like basically it's the opposite of what we were just playing on, which was Tolvaron. So maybe the smaller distances could end up being helpful for the God Comp here, but I'm really not certain. I am excited to see what ends up happening here as soon as we can get this game going.
Yeah, the time or side of no, they're ready. Never mind. They say they need a second and then they take it.
Hmm.
Just confusing, man. They're just trying to confuse us. This is going to be game 3 in a best of 7. 2.5 men still with the winner bracket advantage, meaning if they lose this series, they get a second chance in a best of 3. So Duelist Clan have to win a lot of games to be able to take the entire tournament. A feat that they look willing to make, though, as they did make it all the way through the losers bracket.
Yeah, definitely. They've been playing their hearts out this entire day, basically, since they started in the losers bracket round 2 and have been working their way all the way up. They are out to win this thing. They did win the first match. We'll have to see if they can win this one here and take it to a 2-1 lead. If they do end up winning this series, though, there's a whole nother best of 7 after this
Best of
that
3.
we got to play through.
It's not a best of 7 after
Oh,
this. We're not going that insane. It's going to be a best of 3 if they do end up winning this.
Okay.
And again, I would imagine that Babo is going to hold on to his invis. Still going to go for it very early on with the feather combination and the Mind Series running very fast, trying to pull out Minpoke. Luckily, it's like a race right now, Mario Kart, and they're just ahead of him, and they don't know where he is. So unfortunately, Babo not going to pull them out just yet. Looks like he's getting close. Unfortunately, he's just always in the wrong spot, and they don't know where each other are. Sab comes onto Miley once again, opening onto Valet. Not going to be waiting in stealth this time around. Frost shot onto Babo. Deep onto Miley. Still a 3v1 into a full clone. He's going to trinket that DR Kidney onto Valet with the Garrote Silence. Ice Nova connects. Double Ice Nova going to be answered by Miley's Execution Sense and Avenging Wrath, topping him off instantaneously. Babo into a poly, dispelled immediately by Miley. Into another poly. He's actually going to block that. Overlapped with the dispel, and that's something that the RMD can take advantage of, but they've got to survive this swap onto Waz. He's stuck into the full Hodge at 30% HP, 16%. Cloak of Shadows comes off at 10% HP, but Minpoke is still getting crowd controlled.
Yeah, both Cloak of Shadows and Evasion just to try to limit as much damage as he possibly can. He does manage to come over here and get Minpoke to heal him back up a little bit. He's going to Shadow Step right back in and go right back onto Valet again. But Valet now actually trying to get that Mass Dispel out. It looks like he actually missed Miley Fan with that Mass Dispel. He did manage to remove Babo's crowd control, though. So it would have been nice to be able to get both of them, but... yeah, whatever. Mass Spell goes out. It's cool. No more Cyclone. Minpoke taking a lot of damage, a lot of pressure here right now with this Bark Skin on him. But he is going to be able to heal himself through that as well. So yeah, both teams now are just going to be looking for their next opportunity. Miley Fan now into that Deep Freeze. We'll have to see if they can make something happen off of that. No follow-up CC off of the Deep Freeze, unfortunately, so Valet should continue to be fine for right now.
It's important to note Babo has no ice blocks remaining. If Waz and Raikou are aware of that, and they full kidney Babo with the intent to kill, Mark for Death comes up. He's going to throw the Deep Freeze, though. Swap on him in Minpoke. He trinkets into a full silence. Halo connects. Waz is trying to peel the defensive smoke bomb, comes down, and it might not be enough. Iron Bark at 3%, but Waz's play keeps him alive.
Yeah, an amazing play out of Waz there, and he's going to turn it around on a Babo Mage. Miley bubbles, but it's not in time. All of a sudden, the killing spree comes out from Waz after that amazing... Like, Waz just won them that game, basically. That amazing smoke bomb to keep Minpoke alive to 6% health, and then all of a sudden, Waz just turning it around. He pushes killing spree. He knows he's going to get himself a kill with no bubbles remaining. Excuse me, no ice blocks remaining on Babo. Yeah, that's all she wrote. So that's going to tie us up 2-2 in this best of 7. Or no, excuse me, 2-1. It's not a tie. 2-1.
It is not a tie.
For 2.5 men.
Not until... Can't play the same map until all the maps have been played. So they want to probably play the same map. Unfortunately, I was so close, and Waz keeping him there in that smoke bomb kept him alive. If he didn't do that, like, it was over.
Yeah.
It was over. He did not have enough to live.
Yeah, definitely. And like you were saying, Babo had used both of his ice blocks already at that point, and as soon as 2.5 Men recognize that, oh, actually, there's nothing left. There's no way that they can actually
It was
survive
like they
through
were
this
listening to
damage.
this turn of the stream. It's like if they know there's no blocks, they might be able to
Yeah.
kill him. Like 15 seconds later, oh, all right, we're gonna go on to Runes of Lordaeron here. The map choice of Duelist Clan. They are in the behind position. They have to make a comeback here. They have to win 3 games and then win 2 to
Yep.
take it all. So they have to win 5 games total. Not necessarily in a row just yet. They do have one more loss that they can afford to take right now. Um, but after that, they're gonna get knocked out.
Yep. And 2.5 Men was looking very, very strong in that last match. There was obviously that point where Minpoika almost died, but then 2 seconds later, Babo Mage died. So this has been just very, very back and forth. I feel like there's definitely an opportunity here for Duelist Clan to come back, though. They've been playing super well all day, and I am really... I'm just excited for these games. I just want to get into these games and see what happens.
Yeah, and both comps can swap onto almost any target. Waiting for that exposed moment when it doesn't have a cooldown is in a vulnerable position and taking advantage of it. And Runes of Lordaeron is a very open map. I would imagine Minpoike is going to have to be careful of getting swapped to as the gates do open here. The stealth's coming out from the RMD. They want to make sure they get that sap. It's just a guaranteed CC. Having to deal with counterspell or silence on your polymorph is not something you want to deal with. Babo with the Mind Seer technique. Actually switching it to Miley for a second, maybe trying to confuse the opponents. Now going for the Mind Seer. He's running right into the room, right on top of Minpoike, but he doesn't see him. He's still right next to him and doesn't see him. Minpoike is going to dodge that combat attempt. Sap onto Valet. Waz does get pulled out of stealth, though. They don't land the sap onto Miley. They're going to have to find a different target. They're still going to push through it. Sacrifice comes up onto Valet. Trinkets the full kidney, lands a double fear. Minpoike gets deeped into a full ring. Hodge onto Waz. Now the God Comp diffusing the situation, forcing Waz to Trinket and Cloak, trying to keep the aggression onto Valet. The second sacrifice coming out from Miley does get spell stolen. Now the full poly massive spell gets locked out. Now the turnaround from Waz onto Valet could possibly force Disperse here very early on. Saved by the light, going to proc at 30%. Miley comes out of the CC by trinketing it. Gonna pop the Avenging Wrath, Execution Sentence, and stabilize his team.
Yeah, they've managed to survive through it, but only just. There was lots of... well, I say that. They did actually manage to hold on to both the Dispersion and the Bubble, so it's not nearly as dangerous as I thought initially coming out of that. So they actually did a great job surviving through all of that. Now the Bubble does come out onto Valet to keep him alive a little bit longer. Miley Fan using his Avenging Wrath as well just to keep up the healing. They're going to try and do their best to turn something back around, probably onto Waz or Minpoika here very, very soon. It doesn't seem like they've really been focusing on Raikou too much. They've just got a lot of cooldowns that they have to get through to be able to kill him, and as a God Comp, it can be difficult to get that many burst opportunities to really do that, especially versus an RMD. So I believe that their choice to go onto Waz and Minpoika makes the most sense. Miley Fan getting chain CC'd right now, and Valet into a full kidney shot. Miley Fan now in the full bash as well, and Babo getting sheeped. Miley's going to bop himself to be able to get out of that and try to heal Valet back up. And once again, they actually managed to hold on to Valet's Dispersion, just doing their best.
Whoa, Minpoike getting swapped to. He's going to trinket there. He trinkets the Hodge so fast I didn't see it. He's going to line of sight here, but he had to use the Bark Skin as well. He manages to top himself off, but that's another opportunity as the RMD have no trinkets left. Miley still has Bubble. Babo is refusing to block any CC. He wants to save that last block or basically throw the game for his team like he did in the last, so he's not going to be blocking offensively this time around. Miley pops the Avenging Wrath to try and top off Valet here as the Shadow Reflection, Adrenaline Rush, and Killing Spree get rolling onto Valet, and he's going to be able to tank the damage. Sacrifice came up from Miley. He does get locked out. Dispersion might end up being forced here. 40% HP, throws out the power word shield on himself to absorb some damage. Trinkets the full kidney here. Minpoike pre-iron barking himself for a swap that didn't happen yet. And now he's caught into the full horrify. Deep freeze onto Waz. Hodge on Minpoike. He's got no cooldowns left. They have to hammer the damage through to finish the job. Silence is available as well. He gets the Barskin and the Displacer Beast away and survives, but that could have been his life.
Yeah, very, very dangerous moment there. Unfortunately for Duelist Clan, they were not able to capitalize on that opening. And Valet actually dipped super low there for just a second. Does hold on to his dispersion as Miley Fan had his bubble up and was able to heal him. But now the Cyclone comes out onto Valet, and now the cheap shot onto Miley Fan. They may be able to force the dispersion here. Miley Fan does still have his trinket. He's just sitting on it, but the dispersion will come out instead of using that trinket. But the dispersion has now fallen off. Is Miley Fan going to be able to heal Valet back up? He's into a full polymorph. He is going to have to trinket that polymorph right away. But Valet now in the full kidney shot. Miley Fan getting CC'd again, and Valet is going to go down, and that is going to be 3-1 for 2.5 men. One more win, and they win the whole thing.
One more game. It's going to be another map selection out from Miley. You can pick. What have we played on?
I think the only one we haven't. Oh wait,
Blades. We haven't played on Blades.
We haven't played on Blades. And we haven't played on Tiger's Peak.
You sure it's Tiger's Peak? I'm sure it's Tiger's Peak too. I think.
Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure. Actually, now that I think about it, now I'm second guessing it.
I think we played Nagrand.
Yeah.
Then we went to Dalaran. Then we went to Tolvaron, and that game went to Runes, so that means we only have Tigers and Blades.
Yep.
So they're going to probably take a minute, as they are down to their last line. They have to win 3 games in a row against 2.5 men, or 2.5 men claim the throne as champion of Pro Game X May 2015 edition.
Yes. So the rule is they have to. All maps have to be played before they can move on, right?
Yeah.
Before you can. Okay, so that means regardless of what map they pick here, they're gonna have to win on the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if they pick Tiger's Peak here, they still have to win on Blades after, and then that would actually be going to a Game 7. At which point it could be any pick.
Yeah.
So it almost doesn't matter what their map pick is for this match, because they have to win on both of the remaining maps. But we'll see which one they want to pick, which one they would rather do first. Yeah.
Maybe they're going to the bathroom, taking a moment.
Yeah.
Because they did take a game off of them, and they're the only team in the tournament that has beaten them in one game. They at least walk away with that, knowing that, you know what? You didn't win everything. We beat you once.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, let's see. They're going to go with Tiger's Peak. A little bit more of a comfy match or map. Blades Edge can be very creative with what you can do positionally. So, Tiger's Peak, much more formal in that sense. Let's see what happens, though. Game 5, potentially the last game here of Pro Game X. 2.5 men taking a decisive lead with a couple close calls. Just a couple.
Yeah, for sure. There have been several close calls at this point. If it wasn't for that super clutch Shadow Step smoke bomb on Minpoike on Dalaran Sewers, this would be a 2-2 right now, potentially. So this is. I don't feel that 2.5 men should really feel super confident. Like, they should obviously, they've just won 3 games in a row, so they should feel somewhat confident. But they can easily lose this versus Duelist Clan, who have just been playing phenomenally this entire day. So we'll have to see how this match turns out. This could be the final game, or we could be going on to another one and potentially another best of 3 after that. We'll just have to see as the gates are just about to open.
Yeah, Duelist Clan having to take 3 games in a row now to come back Raikou, Waz, and Poike all in stealth, trying to not get popped out. The opener did get kind of botched last game. Blizzard's coming down, coming close to Raikou over here. Waz in the backline looking like he wants to move in to get a sap. Mindseer coming out from Valet to pull them out. AoE Stealth comes down to help Raikou get in here and connect. The sap comes in, full kidney onto Valet with the Shadow Reflection Adrenaline Rush. Frostjaw again onto Babo into a full clone to deny the counterspell. Now a Deep Freeze onto Miley. Babo blocks. Valet saved by the light. Proxy's getting globaled! And 2.5 men taking it down quickly with very decisive crowd control and solid play, taking down Valet there instantly.
Yeah, the Shadow Reflection with the Adrenaline Rush at the same time. That Shadow Reflection had a whole lot of damage it was about ready to deal, and as soon as it did, Waz hit Killing Spree. And that was all she wrote. That was just a lot of damage that Valet was not expecting. He needed to disperse, like, as soon as that started happening, and he just did not see it coming. And as a result, he went down. That's going to be a very quick, like, 30-second game to finish off these grand finals. 2.5 men are our winners.
Yep, they are the grand champions of May 2015 Pro Game X. I was joined here today by Lore. You can follow him on Twitter at DevoLore, and then if you want to follow his official Twitter, you can follow him. I believe it's at CM_Lore.
Yep.
So at CM_Lore or at DevoLore. Also, if you want to visit the Pro Game X website, you want to register, sign up to play in the next tournament, apply on the website. I believe that Pro Game X is now offering coaching, so if you're interested in getting coached by players playing in the tournament or interested in anything really, you can join their forums on their website to talk about it. Myself, I am Supatease. You can follow me on Twitter at Supatease. Thank you guys for joining us today. Congratulations once again to Minpoike, Waz, as well as Raikou taking it home there, only dropping one game in the entire tournament. They are the grand champions of Pro Game X. Thank you guys for tuning in. Just going to be running a final string of advertisements at the end, if you would be so obliged as to witness them or mute them and go on to something else if you want to do that too. That is fine. But we're going to be running them just in case people want to help out. You know, there's always some helpful people. Either way, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Lore, for coming and helping me, saving me from being alone. I don't want to be alone.
No
It's
problem.
a lot of fun. And we'll see you guys in the future when we get the next tournament set up and ready to go. So thanks for tuning in again. I'm just going to be running some final ads and ending the stream. Thank you, guys.